We can make sure their mics are on. I think we're ready to go.
Check. Sound like
Hello.
We are recording.
Okay, good evening. This is the February 28th meeting of the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, and we'll call to order at 7:05. Start with introductions. I'll go on the right since Don's drinking his drink.
Brian Watts.
Brian Burke, committee member.
Mike Mitchell.
Lisa Norman.
Don Smith.
Denise Kai, staff.
Scott Archer, staff.
Larry Potter, staff.
Okay.
And just so everybody knows, Bob Burns had another thing going on tonight, and he let me know that a while back. So I don't know if you all got that email or not. Just wanted to make sure you knew that. So.
All right. We'll move on to annual election of officers, which we held over from last meeting. Lisa was kind enough to step up and volunteer, I guess you could say that's what that was, to serve as our vice president. We do have still need to discuss the presidency position, and I spoke to Don just real briefly before the meeting because that seemed to be kind of a consensus we were heading, but I don't think I was convincing.
I just can't be confidently reliable. That's my challenge.
You got a good backup.
Amen.
Well, Scott and I talked real briefly before, and as I explained the last time, I've got kind of the same situation as Don does with work travel. The bad news is there's a lot of it. The good news is it doesn't happen suddenly. I mean, I know if I'm not going to be able to make a meeting a couple of weeks ahead, at least. So knowing that we may need a backup plan, we may need Lisa on some occasions, and maybe a fill-in for the fill-in, depending on how things go. I am willing to do it again unless somebody else wants to, but with the understanding that I am a little concerned about my attendance too because of the work travel. So, any thoughts?
That works. Brian, did you have any interest?
Well, I would just, and I think you want to do it too. I know you're willing to do it, but I think am I putting words in your mouth?
A little. No. I'll tell you. I'm going to hop out of order for a second here. I'll tell you what I'm concerned about, and it's later on in the agenda, and it sort of impacts on how excited I would be about doing it, and that is that open house event that we talked about. I've been fretting about that I just don't know that we have the horsepower, the time and the people. Scott and the staff are going to be busy with the trails, that trails group event that they've already got.
Very much so.
It's the peak season. Denise has got a million things, including the concert series, and I know that if I stay in the chair and try to lead pulling off that thing, I'll fail. You'll find me collapsed in a ditch somewhere. So I don't know how everybody else feels about that event. I still think it's a great idea, but I don't know that for me the timing's not right, and I don't know with that Trails organization event if maybe this is the right year to even try to do that. And that's weird, but it kind of impacts whether or not I think it's a good idea for me to continue. So,
Well,
I like the open house. I think we need to do it. I think it should be in August.
the other thing I had kind of go along with that, and try not to get out of order, but it kind of goes with what you're talking about is maybe if we could staff, I think would be less preparation work as staff. Could we staff a table at the farmers market and advertise the pool and our parks and stuff? We wouldn't be at the parks, but it'd be a set time, and we wouldn't obviously do it all summer. But if there was a brief 2 to 3 week period that we could do, I don't think there'd be a whole lot of prep work as there would be for that pulling off that park thing. So it's something to think about to change. But
No, that's okay. Go ahead.
I'd rather let all the committee members speak first, and I'll jump in.
Well, with regards to the open park event, I think that we could pull it off, and I think it wouldn't take too much work to pull it off if we could have some meetings outside of our regular monthly meeting. I couldn't do it by myself, but I would be happy to chair that. August is a really rough time to do it. We have all the optimists are out at the fair. That is a huge 2-week event that takes almost every service group out of town a lot. We've got the antique fair downtown as well, which is another big one that a lot of service clubs participate at. So if we can do something that won't be during those times, I think we could get service clubs to participate and adopt a park and kind of go forward with that kind of plan that we talked about, having something in a couple places.
So it's still August, but we'd have to be selective.
Very, because that's a busy month. So if that helps sway your decision in any way.
Yeah, probably does.
Why August?
Well, because the other event is in July, the big event, and all the planning surrounding it is in July.
It just seems to me that parks are, by the time August gets here, we're late. It seems that if we're going to Park Awareness Day, or if that was our mission, that it would be at the beginning of the summer. Just a thought, maybe Monday morning, but. And I think August is.
No, that's a good thought. It's the first park awareness that we've had in Oregon City, so it's the start of a new thing for the next 10 years.
And when was National Park Day? What day is that?
Well, I don't remember the exact. There's like a National Park Day, but the month of July is National Park and Rec Month. Just to
Right.
remind you.
July 26th is that event.
Yes, it's a Friday. And as far as that event goes, it's the OCTA event is what you probably heard it called, the Oregon California Trails Association, and then we're doing a community festival celebration kind of a thing with music and some activities. That may be, trying to find some things that make this doable. That may be an event where we could get a lot of exposure if we want to do something like, I think, was it Brian Burke that just said something about setting up some tables at a farmer's market or at some kind of an event. That would be, we could definitely do something like that, make that kind of opportunity available, and we'll have hundreds of people, if not in the thousands, at that event. So, and I
Promote a future event, or just to promote parks?
whatever,
Yeah.
whatever it ends up being, but whatever it is, there's an opportunity for a lot of exposure to, make awareness or just set up a park and rec information booth at that, like kind of what Brian was talking about. I like that idea a lot, and do some things that are manageable. I want to be really, really honest, so there's no surprises or whatever. I think I've said this whenever we've talked about this, but our capacity as far as staffing is really stretched, and I don't say that as an excuse to try not to do something, because I want to do good things, and I want to promote what we're doing and have successful events. But we are a very lean staff, and I'm not talking about our body mass indexes or anything like that, although
That's true, too.
probably true too, maybe some. But no, we just have our staffing capacity is very limited, and during the summer we've got a ton of things going on. We got one full-time person at our swimming pool. Her name is Rochelle. She runs the entire operation with a whole bunch of part-time people, and she runs all of our summer concerts in the park, and she does all of our day camps out at Rivercrest Park, and she does a few other odds and ends and all that with other support, and it's kind of a team effort where we all put that together. But just to kind of give you an example of that, and then this year we've got the OCTA convention coming, and we've been directed and asked by the city commission to, here's some money, please go put on a really cool event so that our community can celebrate the Oregon Trail while we've got between 300 and 500 guests from all over the United States and Canada, and so we're getting that honed in on. So I'm just being real honest. Our capacity to support another event on any summer really is pretty challenging, but on this one in particular. Oh, and Rochelle does the movies in the park too. I forgot to mention that. So it's real limited. Having said that, we would do our very best to try to help make something work. But I kind of like where Brian Burke was going in terms of let's find some things that already exist and maybe promote some things, and maybe with what you're thinking, Lisa, I'm not quite sure what this is at this point, but it's a little. I'm getting a little worried as far as from the staffing, like how are we going to help? Because I want this to be successful, and I want to support you. I love the initiative. I think it's fantastic that we have a Parks and Rec committee that wants to go out into our community and advocate like you guys do. We've never had a Parks committee that's collectively said, let's go do something cool like this together. So that's great, but the realism part is I don't want to set us up for failure either and not be able to do something if you have an expectation. So, and then Bob, not being here tonight, but he emailed me something that he wanted me to read to you as far as his comments about the event. So did you want to say something first, Don?
Yeah, sometimes it might help just to back it all up and figure out how we got here. And really it was to raise awareness so that eventually we might be able to talk about a fee somewhere, or to raise, we should cover that up, but that the budget's
that's
too
okay.
skinny,
That's
and
honest.
that we really wanted to raise awareness about how many. I mean, if you could take everybody in Oregon City on the bus ride that you took us on, Larry, that was pretty humbling. There's a whole lot out there, and I have to admit, when I see trash and I'm walking around, I feel for you when I can't walk by it. I got to stop and pick it up now. And I look and see different landscaping changes and that kind of thing, and I'm just well aware of just how thin you are. So the point is that we came up with this event, I think, to raise awareness for parks. But I think a combination of everything that's been mentioned might work if we were to go to the farmers market or go with a booth or wherever what other venue we could, with some good graphics and some good promotion or material to be able to explain to the everyday Oregon City citizen that this is what's out here, this is what's being supported, and we really want to keep going this direction. What do you think? And that with one of the thoughts I had while I was away was just even a bumper sticker. I see one that says "I love the police department." Oregon City churches love the police department. I often wonder why we can't get something going that just says "I love Oregon City Parks and Rec." And raise awareness that way.
Yeah.
I was wondering about the venue. Is if we put on concerts in the park. I don't know why.
You come up to your mic.
The concerts in the park is a nice venue to possibly have a booth at.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got
Something.
a captured audience, and there's a lot of people there. So, and it'd be a nice evening, a good place to meet and greet your neighbors, and you've got quite a few people, and it's a park event, and it'd be an enjoyable evening. You're listening to music,
Good
and,
point.
Yeah.
and it's set up and ready to go.
I liked on where you're going with that. Just you're right, and thanks for reminding me at least that why we started talking about this in the first place was just it's the awareness, and I think really piggybacking on the July is National Parks and Rec Month, and really let's make sure everybody's aware, and that could be for the doesn't just for July, but that's something we already kind of try to do anyway, and doing some things like that. You're right. You drive around and you see people with their "I love my library" sticker, and I love libraries too, but I love my parks too. I guess we haven't done an effective enough job of maybe doing that so that we can. And you don't have to feel bad about saying what you said either. That creating awareness. If at some point we're going to go out and ask people to pay a few bucks a month additional, just specifically for parks, we should be talking about that. We don't have to be shy about saying, "Hey, we got to make if we don't connect the dots as to why am I paying a few bucks more or $5 or whatever the number is, why am I paying this? Then we haven't done our job." So we do have some work to do there. I completely agree with that. So this thing about the staffing, I just want to be realistic and make sure. But at the same time, I'm not saying we're not here, we're not helping. I'm not saying that. I just want to be realistic with you. So appreciate that.
When do the concerts start?
I think it's the
Mid-July.
Is it in July?
it's the first or the
Okay,
second
so-
Thursday in July. Just depends
So
on
that's
where 4th of
so you
July
got
falls.
that venue, Larry. Great suggestion.
Yeah, that's
During
a good
Parks Month, you've got this Octa event. During Parks Month, you've got Saturday market. I think
Movies in
maybe
the
it
park
is.
in August.
Maybe it is a booth with that big map with all the park spaces and. I love my Oregon City Park bumper stickers
could-
to hand out or whatever. Maybe
Yeah, we could do some
that's-
fruit-
and that's something that is. I think is
Those are
doable.
cheap. We can, that's something like we could we could pay for and just make available to give out at promotional things and whatever it is that we come up with.
One of the things I was thinking about with that booth is that we do lots of booths for my job for Disabled American Veterans, and one of the challenges is as the people are walking by, how do you explain something that's so relatively intangible? We can't show you a fishing rod and have you recognize it. We really do a lot of other things, and so we try to come up with ideas to get people involved in the booth to begin with. And so I was thinking on this one is, there's some 20 or 30 properties that probably 3/4 or more most people aren't even aware of. And I thought maybe we could have some kind of just we got the answers there, and they could fill out okay, do you know the name of number 1? Do you know the name of number 2? And all of that, and then put them in some sort of a drawing. But it'd be cool to collect those names also, so that we can network with them later. And then maybe we do have a Facebook page or something that promotes this whole initiative, if you will. But start organically like that. But somehow that when we get them by the booth, how do we hook them? How are we going to get that conversation going? Fill this out, get a bumper sticker, get a chance to win or something. I don't know, but I think that's where we should spend time thinking.
Something that we could determine how to do this or what it would look like or whatever, but without making it something boring, but a little quick facts info sheet or something that with the free sticker or some little giveaway thing that makes people actually want to come over and I'll take one of those, and but you get one of these fact sheets too about did you know Oregon City has 47 parks and we maintain 253 acres and we have X number of this and that and whatever, and that kind of stuff. But we get some kind of thinking about that. There might be some better ideas that'll be generated. But can I read you guys what Bob sent me just to kind of get it out there too? He couldn't be here, but he really wanted to weigh in on that. He said he had been thinking about it quite a bit and the way he explained it to me, he said, because he verbalized this to me and then he sent me a follow-up email. He said he was very interested about this and had thought since we discussed it last and had some concerns about kind of what I guess probably a little bit what I've been talking about, but just some of the other concerns or whatever, but wanted to see, where this goes. So here's what he emailed me and asked me to share with you. He said, concerning the parks event for this summer, I think we should start with an agenda that is manageable. We don't want to overcommit and underdeliver. If we used 3 to 4 venues, including the pool and a few other parks, to show the good work of the high school construction class and our new facilities, perhaps lunch at the senior center. I'm not sure about the activities at the parks, difficult to organize. We need to consider the support needed for each event. Another need is transportation. Is it okay for people to transport themselves, or do we need to provide transportation? Hard to organize if people come and go on their own. Activities might include swimming, soccer, baseball, walking to include seniors, races, sprints, and perhaps a marathon or half marathon. All of these support people to organize and manage. These are my thoughts for the summer event. And he said, keep it manageable with 3 exclamation points at the end of that. Keep it manageable. Kind of agree with that, but at any rate.
Are we kind of coming around to a nebulous plan?
Well,
More along the lines of a booth, an informational booth, as opposed to something on site?
no.
What?
No.
No. Okay.
I think, here's what I think. I think that if you inspire 2 or 3 groups of people who like to volunteer to do things anyway, like we've been talking about, that you could have responsible people in 2 or 3 different locations that you could be pretty hands-off with. So if it's a softball game at Chapin, then and we trust the optimists can do that, and maybe one of them says, hey, and we'll have a little burger fry over here. Hagen decides to donate the meat and some of the chips or whatever. You know, we need to at least investigate. That's what I think. We need to at least investigate the possibility of how easy this could be with a group of volunteers. If everybody's going, no way, we're overcommitted, we can't do it, then we've got a red light. But if we don't even try, I think that's, you know, I think part of our responsibility to do this, unless you guys, you know, want to go a different direction, I still think we ought to do it. But if we continue to run into areas that just are, you know, impasses or constraints that we just can't overcome, then that's something else. But if you find a core group of volunteers that are able to do this, we could, you know, as much as they'll let us, write them out of the picture. And we could even write ourselves out of the picture. You know, a good leadership team can trust their volunteers. And maybe we can, you know, one or two be on site. Maybe, you know, time permitting, they could be on site at, you know, for a couple hours at one or two locations. But, you know, I think we ought to give it a shot. At least like Lisa suggested, we meet as a smaller group, whoever, you know, has the passion or desire to do so, and investigate some opportunities or options. I see Rivercrest in my mind. You know, I see Rivercrest. I see, you know, frisbee, and I see kickball for the kids. I see it being manageable, because I see groups that can do this without us hovering over them and managing every little detail of what they plan on doing. If we know what they plan on doing and they say, hey, let's do this, and we say, cool, hey, we play softball every Thursday or whatever, and we entrust them with a softball game. They already have 20 people that are interested. That's a game right there. Another 50 people come or whatever, spectators, couple games, you know, World Series, whatever.
Something I was just talking to Denise about on the side over here for a second, that I was thinking about timing of getting some decisions made on this for sure, and moving forward or not, like you're saying, red light or green light,
Yeah.
Brian, whatever. I would assume one of the main ways that we would publicize something, if there's an actual event that we, you know, say it's not just a booth where you show up at the different things and we're just going to be there handing out information, but if we're actually promoting something on a certain day or dates or whatever, is probably going to be through the Trail News as one of our main outlets. We know that goes to every mailbox in 97045. In order to get something in the Summer Trail News, our deadline for the publishing deadline, we do things quite a ways in advance with the layout person, and then it goes to the printer, and there's a kind of a lag of time there, is around the first part of April to have something submitted. And that's, you know, we can fudge that just a little bit past that, but not much. So really got to think kind of like by our next PrAC meeting, and then maybe just a little bit of time even after that, because we're at the end of March. We'd have to get something relatively firmed up if we want to promote it in the Trail News. Just something to think about.
Yeah, that is the best and cheapest way to promote it, too.
Yeah, and of course we'll put it, whatever it is, we'll put it on the website, and there's no timeline on that. It's just we can get that on there pretty quick. But people don't tend to go seek things that they don't know about. They're going to our website looking for something in particular. Trail News just shows up, and it's just an informational thing that you're going to look at. And hopefully people will see that.
So, in lieu of Robert's Rules of Order, I think I would, if Lisa wanted to get together a meeting in the next week or two, I would definitely be available, make myself available.
Yeah,
so
me
we
too.
can just try to determine the scope. Let's
Yeah,
just get an outline
right.
and get
Just
a scope. And
get the
then-
details.
And if it
you
can
know.
be
Come
next
back
week,
to you guys
I'm
within
weekend.
way before the PrAC meeting. With this is kind of the what, how, way, what, how, you know, when, what we think we need, and dates.
Okay, so that was a motion of
All
sorts,
right.
I guess. We're not that official.
I'll-
Lisa's going to put something
Lisa,
together.
I mean, not that it would be extremely hard, but Lisa, how many contacts do you have in the different clubs? And I mean, do you have a pretty, I mean, a
I'm a
lot.
Rotary member and an
Yeah.
Optimist member, and then we've got the Sir Optimist, and we also have the Lions, and there's, I've got
Yeah,
contacts and all.
yeah.
And we have the Chamber as well. You guys are probably, well, Larry is an Optimist.
Once in a while.
In more than one
Hey,
way.
all right.
Chamber.
Sometimes he's a pessimist. Yeah, we do have good. We do have good networking with the chamber and others. And
So,
Well, there's a reason, Larry. It's because they promise the world and you deliver it.
do you,
So,
a pun intended, do you feel optimistic then, Lisa, that we would have volunteers to do this?
I think we could if we pulled it off, but I think that we really need to sit down and talk about what
Yeah.
we want. And
Right.
if that looks
What-
like, in 2 parks, if that looks like we plan a quarterly event in each park, I mean, in a different park every quarter, and then we roll that out at that time.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
Yeah,
Then I think we just need to have a plan.
Yep.
Right now, I feel like we're
Okay.
just talking about it, and
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
would be good to
Right.
put something down.
My concern is how do we get people there, and what does success, if we want to call success, look like? If we have, especially if we're asking volunteers outside our group here to show up, and they have just themselves and their family shows up, that to me is not success. We want to bring people in, so trying to, I guess, figure that out. I guess that's part of
That's-
the meeting
Yeah.
would be kind of
That's
figuring
part
out
of it.
what success looks like, how do we attract, and then if we have the support to do it. And like you say, if we do, great. If not, let's look
Yeah,
at a
that would
different
be-
road.
yeah.
No.
okay. So
Okay.
maybe you can try for next week.
Absolutely.
I'll be around.
I'll send you guys an email so we don't have time here.
And
Each
I'm sure
is
you can
better.
find us a space.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
To me? Yeah.
I've got 7
Find us
people
a-
in my family, by the way, so we'll be there. That's 7.
and
2 more. You
I'll
got
make myself available to, depending on when the small group meets, to meet with you to at least try to help do whatever we need to do on our end and that kind of thing. And also, we can make a meeting room available here at City Hall if you need a place to meet.
fire station too.
Yeah, great. So just let me know what
That's
you
awesome.
want from me, and I'll be glad to
Cool.
try to
I'll
help
just invite
make that happen.
everyone or connect with you for
Yeah.
meeting space, and whoever can come then can come, or whoever's interested.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Outside of this group?
No, just our group
Good.
for now.
That's
Yeah,
good.
no. No.
This group
This is the plan.
We don't need any more opinions than these right
No
here.
sausage. No sausage.
We've been duly sanctioned to take care of
Okay.
that ourselves.
All right, I think we have a plan on that one. So let's loop back around to officers and get that resolved.
I thought you were just trying to skip that whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any reason to leave it hanging.
So then, Mike, I guess, do I make a motion?
You certainly can, unless somebody else wants to. We know that we're taken care of there, and I think we're not interested down at this end.
Well, I just, I want whoever does it to want to do it, and I don't want anybody to feel like they're forced into that position, Mike.
No,
And
I-
that's
no,
that's
I-
the
no,
only
I-
reason why I asked you that question, because I want
don't
you
feel-
to do it.
I don't feel forced into it.
Yeah.
My only hesitation is just the amount of travel and the fact that I can guarantee I'm going to miss some meetings. I
Yeah.
know right now today I'm going to miss April,
Yeah.
and it's probably going to happen more. But I am excited about doing it. I'm happy to do it with the understanding that I'll do the best I can to juggle around my travel schedule, but I can't always juggle it myself. So,
Then I guess I make a motion that we retain Mike as our chair for the next year.
A second.
okay. Any comment? So, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed? All right.
Welcome back.
Okay, thanks. Didn't have to move out of the chair. Got it all warmed up for myself. Approval of minutes. Everybody had a chance to review the January 24th meeting notes? Any motion to approve?
I move that the minutes be approved as written.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. There are no citizens present, so we'll move on past that one. We've already beat 5A to death. So we'll move on to 5B. Scott, I assume you may have a little bit of an update for us?
Not too much more than what you already know. I'm just trying to keep this on your radar screen so you know what's going on, that we're planning. Our big thing right now with kind of have a goal here within about the next week, give or take, is to have the main thing this is kind of themed around is we've got the Octa convention, okay, and I think I've explained that to you somewhat. The Oregon Trail group, and they come in from all over the country. They meet in different places every year, and they've chosen Oregon as its destination this year, and they're centered out of the Monarch Hotel just because that's a good conference place for them, but they're doing a lot of things in and around Oregon City. And then the finale is that Friday, July 26th, and they're doing like a salmon bake and a kind of a finale dinner for the convention. So there'll be, I'm told between 300 and 500 attendees, and our city wants to welcome them with thanks for being here. It's at the end of the Oregon Trail site, be tents and things set up. And then our main thing is we're going to put on some live music and some other fun things and that kind of thing. So we've been working on getting the performers pinned down. The direction I've received from the commission through the city manager to me is try to get somebody with a kind of a regional draw as far as the musicians. So we're trying to go with something that is a little bit bigger, a little bit better, whatever the right way to say that is, than maybe what some of our concerts in the park are. So it's kind of get a little bit outside that draw and get as many people that we can, are invited from our community and visitors and people outside of our community to bring them into Oregon City and say, we're the end of the Oregon Trail. We welcome you to Oregon City, and we just want to have a celebration evening. So anyway, this is just to kind of keep it on your screen, and that's a big event for us. We're going to be working on that pretty hard. And if you have any input, comments, feedback, you're certainly welcome to provide that. And make sure you get it on your calendars. I'd love to see everybody there. So that's it on that. Just kind of keeping you in the loop and posted on that. So.
Okay. PrAC vacancies.
Not much to talk about. We didn't do the interviews, as you know. I apologize for the back and forth emails on that, but so please know that we're definitely planning on at your next meeting. We'll do the interviews of whoever the applicants are before the meeting. Right now, I was talking to a couple of you before the meeting started, but we've got 2 applications. One was a definite, I'll be there, and we got a hold of that person and said, sorry, but we're going to postpone it until next month. The mayor really wanted to be there, and he was unavailable tonight and participate in the interview, so we're bumping that back until the next meeting. There was another applicant that we've had for a little while, and we haven't been able to track him down. I know where he lives, so I'm trying to find him, and I know he's around, but he may just be out of town or something. So this actually might have been a good thing anyway, because it might get him to the next meeting. And then again, we have 3 positions open, so keeping the word out, and if you come across anybody that you think would be interested and would want to do this, then by all means point them in our direction to get an application in. So that's it. That was on the agenda originally because maybe we were going to talk about some appointment recommendations tonight, but I'm going to wait until next month to do that.
And that 3 includes the Pioneer Center representative?
It does, yeah. And we haven't had any luck on that. Kathy Weisman, our Pioneer Center supervisor, has been trying to find a good candidate to do that, or somebody that would be interested and would serve that well, and so far hasn't had any luck with that. So that might be something that we want to talk about, is if we don't end up finding somebody, we do have the position. It might just end up being that we just fill it with an at-large, and staff will keep people informed and that kind of thing. So
okay,
we'll see where that goes.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do we ever feel, is there an age requirement for the position? So we could have a high school student or a college student?
We had one before, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Well, we actually used to have a designated position for a student from the high school, and we'd work through the leadership of the high school to find somebody. And we had some pretty good members that were, pretty active. And but that kind of several years ago, and maybe that was when you were on the committee before, Lisa, or not? Maybe that was a little before that. It worked pretty nicely for a while, and then we started having some issues. What happens is the people that, you go to the high school and you say to the principal or the vice principals or people that are involved in leadership, hey, we want somebody that's involved and can speak for the high school and represent the students well and have an advocate and a voice on the. Well, those are the kids that are already doing a million other things. They're in 2 sports and 5 clubs and they do all kinds of stuff. Anyway, so it ended up we had conflict after conflict, and they ended up just kind of continually not being able to make the meeting. So PrAC eventually kind of just rolled that position into an at-large position. So it maybe isn't something that it's a designated position, but absolutely.
Would it be all right if I sent a request out to perhaps our 2 alternative schools?
Great with staff.
or-
It's
Okay.
if you're
Our charter schools.
if the rest of
and
the
our
members
student
think so,
council?
I certainly support that. Absolutely.
Okay, good. I'll do
Especially
that.
with what the construction classes has done. It'd be just a way to tighten up that relationship a little bit. That's a great idea.
Thank you. I'll do that.
Great. Maybe even one of the construction kids might want to do it because they're really tuned into what we're doing anyway.
Exactly.
I'll include Brett on that email then as well.
Cool.
Okay. Item D, designated off. Whoop, move that. You done? Designated off-leash dog area consideration. We talked about this a little bit last meeting, but I think maybe everybody wasn't present last time. Scott, maybe a 30-second highlight,
Sure.
and then you and I think we know where we maybe want to go next with this, I think.
Sure. We talked about, it came up at the City Commission's goal-setting retreat in January, and I mentioned this at our last meeting that, in fact, I think it might have been the mayor, now it's eluding me who said it. I think it was the mayor that said, we talked about there's interest, there is interest from some of our city commissioners to do something with the dog park. I mean, it's gotten to the point where, they're hearing about from their constituents, and we've heard a lot from people interested in the community. We know there's an interest out there. We've just had a difficult time finding a specific site. Of course, we've talked about maybe folding this into one of our future park developments as we do the master plan to see if that fits or doesn't, but we'll explore that. In the meantime, this temporary kind of interim solution was suggested that we take an existing park that is minimally used, and the one that specifically came up was Barkley Park. That's the one right next to Barkley School, not Barkley Hills Park, which is the one that's kind of downhill from the cemeteries. But just so you know, that might be, we could take something like that or a similar park and designate it as an off-leash area. So we've already got a park. We don't have to put any different amenities in. We just say, if you want to run your dog, and so that the people using the park would be aware that, hey, we understand that if we're going in here that there might be dogs off leash, and that idea came up that as kind of an interim solution. There's some pros and cons to that, but if it was at a site that didn't have a lot of other uses or other conflicts, I think that's the key, is making sure of that, that we might be able to consider something like that. So I think, and Mike, you can, I don't want to speak for you, but I think we talked about you might come before the commission to follow up on that idea, and that if PrAC supported that, kind of make a request from PrAC to go further with that idea or something. So
I think we had a consensus last time. I just want to make sure that we do, that we think this is a good idea. Yeah. Yeah. What? Well.
It's all
Yeah.
thrown on my
Well,
face.
Larry can. We'll get your opinion, Larry.
I don't think, this is my opinion again, I'm familiar with the site. That wouldn't be one of my sites I would use just because of the preschool next door. That would be, my only concern is with little kids right there and a fence in between. Kids like animals, most animals, that would make me nervous. That's the only drawback I would see at that site.
I actually called Sheila, the director of Merrill Hearst, after our last meeting and had a chat with her about it, and she was perfectly fine with it.
Was she? Then that's
good.
Okay.
I just worry about children and Sioux fences and things like that. But the site's not bad.
Well, I think there's some details that would need to be still kind of worked through and so forth. But I think where we're at right now is just exploring is this a concept we want to go forward with? And we'll get to some of those kind of things. I think we need to talk about what the issues are going to be or not be. But
I think it's a logical first step in providing that opportunity for dog owners and dogs, because the bureaucratic process as it is going to take a long time for a dog park, and I see this as a path of least resistance. If the mayor is watching, he's mentioned it. We've heard him talk about it. So it's not as if we're going to run into a brick wall when we advise the commission that we think this is a good idea to do this. We already have open ears and people inclining toward that position already. And so if we find out all the things, the unknowns or maybe the unintended consequences of doing it, or at least more of them than we don't know, I think it's a great idea.
The only other downside is the size of the park. I mean, and we know that from past experience that the size of a park makes a difference how the maintenance works and how much it's loved. So the smaller the park, it's very hard to maintain in a good state. But that's that's something to be worked out.
Yeah. My thought, anyway, unless somebody has a strong opinion otherwise, was that I would go to the commission as a representative of PRAC as soon as possible, hopefully before our next meeting, to say that we support the idea, but not try to tell them where we think it should be at this point, just that we are supportive of the concept as a way of getting to what we know we do need, which is a dedicated, fenced, full-blown deal. But PRAC supports the idea, and we think it's a good thing, and the community wants it, and so forth, without trying to put a face on it. Everybody okay with that?
Absolutely.
All right. And then Scott, I'll work with you, and we'll get
great.
a date. Okay. Joint meeting with the Natural Resources Committee. That was at their request.
Yeah, and this is a follow-up from the last meeting. So that last meeting I told you that the Natural Resources Committee would like to meet with PRAC at some point to kind of have a joint meeting to talk about common issues and common goals and where some of your issues cross over with each other. And we talked about what your recommendation back to me was to let them know that maybe a representative could just come to your meeting at some point and sort of share what their vision is before setting up an actual work together an actual joint meeting where we have an agenda, because we don't know what the agenda is. So I took that back to the staff that works with the NRC, and they communicated that, and it sounds like they're going to be good to go to come before you in the March meeting. So somebody or
Cool.
multiple members of the NRC will be here just to kind of do it, not to, it won't be the whole meeting, but it'll be an agenda item that they'll kind of express what they're thinking, and maybe there'll be a little bit of dialogue, and then if it turns into a discussion about a future meeting or whatever, then so be it. But just to follow up that I think they're planning on coming to your March meetings. So.
Good. That sounds great. Okay. Move on to RV park design process, and it looks like we've got a packet of information.
Yeah, so Larry's going to go ahead and give you an update on the process, on where we're at. We've got some good information, and Larry's going to give you a recommendation where we're at and so forth.
Well, we went out and did a proposal. Let's see. In January, I think we submitted it, and we had a pre-bid meeting at the RV park. Had 17 people show up, so it was a very well-attended pre-bid meeting, and a lot of interest. And then we received the documents on January 31st, and we received 5 bids for the RFP, request for design and plans, and me and Scott and Denise sat and reviewed these quite a bit, worked over them, graded them, and came out with our first choice, which is FDG, Furwood Design Group. And we actually picked out 2 top contenders, and we interviewed them both personally and met with their design group, and had a real nice interview. We talked with them personally, got a feeling for where they wanted to go with us, and the Furwood Design Group really, they came prepared. They had a very good grasp of what we wanted, and they really were, they did a great presentation. So that was our top choice for the design of the Clackamas RV Park. So I'm real excited about moving forward with this, and we haven't ordered it yet. We wanted to present this to you tonight first, and see if with the document, chance to review it a little bit. But they did an excellent job of presentation, and just the way they came forward with this proposal. So I'm pretty excited to move forward with this.
They've done similar stuff to this before.
Yes, they have.
It's kind of,
Yeah.
Actually, they in the full document that Larry's got the original proposal from them. I didn't include it in the copies because it was too much paperwork to get in there, but maybe you can kind of hold that up. They included as an exhibit a set of plans for a similar type of a project that they did in North Bonneville, Washington.
RV.
So they went to the extent of even including a set of plans that they've done for another RV park and that kind of thing. It was really pretty impressive. So.
And then during the interview, they brought some more plans of the RV park, possible concept plans. And I mean, they've been doing their homework. They've come down and looked at it on site, and they talked to some people in the RV park. So I mean, they were very proactive, and I was impressed. I think Scott and Denise were also. So.
Did they have a look at our concept plan that we had?
Yes. Yeah. Everybody actually was presented with our concept
Yeah.
plan. So everybody was presented with where we were hoping to go.
Right.
And so everybody had the same.
Because that was based on your vision
Well, yeah,
Yes.
a lot of people's visions.
together. Yeah,
It was a starting point of
Yeah.
kind of a vision idea, but it got the wheels turning for people. So yeah.
And they're aware of some of the oddness of that site,
Yes.
like the
yes.
fact it doesn't
Yes.
want to stay above the water level.
And that's what that was another real strong point, was the principal. Denise is familiar with her, and she's done a lot of water resource.
Water quality. She worked for the city of Westland, and that was her primary position, with the water quality resources. So she's very familiar with the 1200C permits, as well as working with the Corps, and any of those permits required for disruption of the site within the floodplain.
cool.
Yeah. So I think we've got a leg up with them.
Yeah,
I really
yeah,
do.
sounds like it. Do we need any sort of seal of approval from this group, or we just?
We'd love to have
just
it,
for our
yes.
information.
Yeah, I'd love to have your stamp.
Okay. Are there any other
Sounds
questions
good.
for anybody?
And also I want to mention going forward, and yeah, we if you want to do a motion and support the recommendation or something like that, it'd be great. But also going forward, so the real work then begins, and we'll be meeting with them and start the actual process of the design and that kind of thing. And I know at least Don, and I don't know if some others might be interested in joining us with some of those discussions. We'd certainly open that up to anybody that would be interested, and I know that there's been a strong interest on PRAC to be involved. So we'll have to coordinate on how you want to make that work, because we'll probably be meeting during business hours and stuff if that works for people, or we can try to work around schedules some. But
Did we talk to them about potentially having other organizations like the construction class at the high school
Yes.
be available, present, and
We've talked
have input?
about the Construction Corps. We've talked about the Greater Oregon City Watershed Council.
Yeah.
And they brought in, actually, without any prompting, they were talking about the
That's great.
other organizations that could be brought in.
Yeah, I'm just saying it out loud again. I know everybody here knows it, but as much as we can involve, like the construction class or other organizations who will be able to help, and with Metro grants and other type of grants, can start taking parts and pieces of this master plan once it's been presented or completed, and be able to make it happen. I mean, so instead of looking at a big chunk of money out of a general fund or out of SDCs or whatever, we're looking only at a smaller amount, and other organizations, grants, etc., and we can put it together, and we won't be waiting for years and years and years to make it happen.
And with the partners, that leverages a lot of interest and, like you said, the grant money.
Yeah.
I mean, the more partners you have on these projects, it's very helpful during the grant process. So,
Awesome.
Okay. Would anyone like to make a motion that we support this using Furwood Design Group for the master plan?
I'd like to make that motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of supporting Furwood Design Group for the master plan, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pratt Goals Review. I believe this was put on at Brian's request, so Brian, what, you just want
Yeah,
us
I think it's a
to
great-
touch the document again and make sure we're still...
Yeah, I mean, just it's our sort of a roadmap, I guess you could say, or at least something we can look at and know that we're headed in. The ball is being like I've said before, that we're moving a ball down the right path on all of these issues. And so I just said, asked Scott if he would just include this with our documents that we got, so we could just take a look at it.
Well, several of these we've already talked about tonight or in the very recent past. I think several of them are moving forward a little bit. Number one, Wesley Lynn has kind of fallen off our radar a little, I think. We just talked about the RV park. Glen Oak, where did I see that you have a timetable for putting out an RFP on that?
Yeah, we're planning to. So we've been working through our priorities list and getting all the different things going on that we've got. Similar type of process to what Larry just described to you, how we're going to go about the selection of somebody to do those master plans, and we're going to be advertising. We should be advertising in the month of March. So our advertisement will kick off. Then we'll do some pre-bid meetings and things like that, and it'll probably take about 4 to 6 weeks for that process as far as selecting a consultant, and then hopefully by spring we'll be into a contract, and the idea is, during the summer to be underway with the master plan process.
And the plan still is to do both those properties at the same time?
I think so, yeah. Ideally, that's what I'm still thinking is to combine those two under one contract. They'll each be their own unique park and the design process, but yeah, that's what I'm still thinking. So.
Okay. Dog parks, we've got an interim idea there.
And I would just continue to keep on in our minds too that, and again, this could be way off base, it could never happen, or it might be a good idea, which would be extraordinary for me to have a good idea anyway. But we need to think about ways potentially to combine these, and one of the ways I think might be a great way to combine number 4 with number 3, if it's right, is you master plan within these properties, within these parks, you master plan a dog park, so you don't have 2 separate processes that are cumbersome, but you combine them into one, and you say, well, we want to make part of this park a dog park, or part of one of these parks a dog park, so that yes, it is now further out, but I've also developed some close-in objectives of an off-leash dog park that'll suffice, or that'll satisfy us until that point at which we master plan and then eventually develop these other parks.
I agree completely. I think that's the best way to make it happen, is to have it as a part of the master plan from day one. So you're not trying to carve out a sizable chunk of property, from a park that has already got its identity and already got its uses, and you're gonna upset a lot less of the apple cart if you start from square one. So, great point. Trail linkages and signage. We know what's out there. I don't know that there's anything specific on that one.
Well, I think that's something that we're, as far as from the staff anyway, on that one, we're just continuing to do what we can with the resources that we have. We've done in the last, less than a year, I think, we've put out that Parks Trails map that we've shown to you, and we keep that one kind of out, available at our facilities and so forth. And that, I think that goes to at least a portion of that goal of making people aware of trails access and linkages and things like that. I know it's not entirely what your vision is there, but we're always aware of that and looking for ways to, and if there's an existing project or an upcoming project, we'll look at ways to try to incorporate and do things like that. And I think you've heard me talk about we're involved with the Intertwine regional group that is trying to bring points of connection between communities, so that if you're going from Oregon City to Gladstone, or from Milwaukee to Portland, or whatever the case may be, you may be crossing jurisdictional lines, but there's just this kind of continual opportunity to be on pathways and things like that. So there's in a regional way, we're involved in the Intertwine agency, and we're a member of that partnership, and will continue to be. So this is always on our radar screen, at least from staff, and we're keeping those things in mind. But there might be particular ideas that you have that'll come up from other ways of accomplishing that goal too. So
I think some of that linkage too. We talk about. I think some of that's going to end up involving the roads and our road department. I mean, I think of a classic example is Myers Road to Leland. Myers got bike path to no bike path, back to Lynn to bike path, and nothing they can do right now. But as the roads and stuff planned for our future, I think that's where we start having an opportunity to. Okay, now we can connect those.
Definitely.
Keep it safer for a little bit better. So.
And we've also been working with the Public Works Department to realign crosswalks where it's more applicable from parking lots to trailheads. And we did that. If you guys haven't been down Main Street by the Cove lately, we realigned that. And that's a more significant one because the visibility of it made it a little bit easier, as well as now that where people have been parking, it makes it a much safer transition to our trailheads. And we've done that, and I think I actually took probably 4 out of 9 of my suggestions and implemented them, I think, with a grant project that they were looking at. And some of them actually have the new signage. So we are starting to work hand in hand with them as projects allow.
I think on that same, kind of along the same line, last year if you ever go down Leland on the kind of the back side of West Leland Park, the unofficial other entry into West Leland, which gets used a lot. We've talked about getting some access way, but we put in, at our request, Public Works was great in getting a crosswalk put in across Leland from that other side where all the new homes are at, and there's just lots and lots of in the dozens of people at least every day funneling across the street there. So we got that put in, and we've kind of created a sense of an entry point that's a future development thing. And that future development, we've talked about that as well, that there's the property owner as you're going into the park from Leland on the right. We own the property on the left with the house that is now kind of our caretaker's house. On the right is owned privately, and that property owner still intends to develop where there would be a new roadway would be put in, and we've worked with them from day one to put in a dedicated pedestrian way through there to get straight into the park. So we're still looking forward to that happening at some point. So anyway, that's like what Denise was saying, but there's things like that are constantly going on that we're always got our eyes open for and trying to make improvements as we can. So.
Okay, the number 6, the end of the Oregon Trail site. How much longer does the Clackamas Heritage Partners, that agreement? How
That agreement is through the end of this calendar year.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's sort of on the back burner. What happens after that?
Well, we're trying to figure that out. In fact, I was going to mention to you that at the Commission's next work session, which is always the Tuesday following the first meeting of the month that they have, the first Wednesday of the month they meet, and so the next Tuesday is always their monthly work session, which I think is March 12th. That is going to be a topic of discussion on their agenda because at their goal setting retreat in January, the Commission said, "Hey, we need to follow up on this discussion, and have some further conversation." So I'll keep you posted, but you can also you're welcome to be there, and you can tune in if you're not able to attend on our website if you want to watch that discussion. But trying to kind of get an idea on timing as to how the Commission wants to go about making some future decisions on that site. So yeah, still very much to be determined, and we're trying to figure that out. Meanwhile, we've got some gigantic deferred maintenance issues that we're still continuing to struggle with and figure out while the decision-making process is going on. And Denise deals with this on a daily basis, how to keep those buildings, functional and safe and so forth. We're trying.
Any comments or thoughts on that one? Singer Falls project, sculptures up and look great. The lighting is up and looks great. Do they have more phases of their project?
I don't think so. I think they did the top first. They did some stuff 2-3 years ago, and then of course we got the lighting, and then down below the art and all that. The only thing is just kind of now keeping it maintained, and I think there's an effort to keep on top of that. So
yeah, I'm wondering if maybe that one should come off the list if it's a done deal.
Yeah, well, maybe we contact Marcia Wimmer, is it?
right.
And just make sure that we don't close it out before we should, I guess.
Okay, good idea. Parks event.
I love it.
Talked about the Parks event.
Yep.
Number 9, knowing what the other boards and committees are going on. We kind of got a little start at that with the Natural Resources Committee, so that's a good thing. Are there any other committees that we want to take the initiative and reach out to? I guess well, never mind. Our agendas, we still have some things on the agenda. I'll bring that up another time. Forget that idea. Forget I said that. Even though I didn't say it.
On a really positive note, I want to mention that it relates to what you're talking about there with staying in tune with the Commission and other committees and just kind of what the city's goals are. So Parks and Rec Committee for several years, at least going back the past several years, have been, you have done a really good job of sending a representative and making at least an annual presentation to the Commission that, Brian and then Mike did, and even going back, I think we had done that previously. But just in the more recent time, you guys have done a really good job of that, and I think it's made an impact. And not every board or committee has either done that or does that on a regular basis. And at our City Commission goal setting, that topic came up of staying more aligned and in tune with the boards and committees with what's going on and communicating with the Commission. And so the Commission actually set a goal of requesting or requiring, I don't exactly know how that's being worded, that each of the city's boards and committees give a report to the Commission at a meeting at least one time per year. And they specifically talked about Parks and Rec Committee and how effective that is and how good it is. And there's also the library board, and the Friends of the Library have done a similar thing for a number of years, and that was mentioned as well. But it was an effective communication tool that they definitely took note of, and in fact used that as a model to suggest that other committees do the same thing. So now they actually put out a directive to other committees: please come and schedule a time with our city recorder and get in front of us once a year to tell us what you're doing, so we know, so you can talk to us and we can talk to you and that kind of thing. So I think that definitely falls into that, and most definitely we want to keep doing the annual report, which I think we've done in the spring for the last few years, and we want to maybe start to think about that, like Mayish.
Yeah, it was May.
Yeah, I think it's been
I
in
think
May.
you might have done it in June. I think I did it in May,
Yeah, May or
Okay.
June. It's in that time, so something
something like that.
kind of start thinking about it.
Oh, that was like yesterday, wasn't it?
Good thing we didn't talk about this when we did that chair election a little while ago. Might have thought otherwise.
No, I think that's great because our job is to advise, and I think what they're shooting for or aiming at is, if as they go to their goals meeting and they develop these goals, they'd like to have a better idea of what all the committees, the advisory committees and other committees are actually coming up with. So yeah.
Well, we'll definitely do it. I can't believe it's coming around to a year already. But it could very well be. Time flies. Okay. Anything else on our goals? Anything we need to add?
I think it's full.
Okay. All right. We'll move on to BRAC member reports. Don, you want to go first?
I have nothing.
Nothing for me. Oh,
Okay.
I do have one thing I want to say. I'm excited about an event that's coming up at the library, which is an author's. Cheryl Strait is coming, and she wrote. Oh my gosh, I read the book. What is the book called? It's one
She was
word.
on the hiking the trail.
Yes,
What is the name of
Pacific
that book?
Coast Trail. Pacific Crest Trail.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Anyway, we have to get tickets ahead of time, Maureen said, so I'm going to be in line to get my ticket on Friday, I think next week. So I'm excited that she's going to be here on the 15th at 7 o'clock. I think it's the
15th
15th
of March?
March. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Should be on the website under the library's page.
Oh, good. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I don't think I have anything.
One thing I had, just kind of we talked about a little bit earlier, is just I would like to see our presence out there and information. I think the farmers market or concert in the park would be a great thing, and it's something that staff doesn't have to be involved other than maybe giving us the material. And I think there's enough of this that we can volunteer at those events and not make it overwhelming, but yet provide some good information and to the public out there.
That's something that
I'd like maybe add that to our agenda for future months to talk about as it comes closer.
that's something that the neighborhood association used to. I don't know if they still do. At the farmers market, they always had a booth.
The
They had a big map of the city, and
Yep.
you go up and put a pin in the map where you live and so forth. And then they're getting people to sign up to become a part of their neighborhood association. I think they get quite a few people interested that way. So that is a great idea. Yep, good idea. Ryan.
This I think they're calling it the Spring Forward meet is the swimming meet at the swimming pool. It's March 9th and 10th, and there's going to be old people swimming like me also. So
Aren't we about the same age? So be careful.
I was going to say easy.
Have a defibrillator ready is what you're trying to say?
So if you want to come see me
You're
swim
not
the
old,
400
Brian. You're not
meters freestyle, you're welcome to do that. I'm trying to break my personal record on that. But that's
You mean the record that we saw up on the wall when we toured the pool?
in crayon, the one in crayon.
Did you say March 9th and 10th?
March 9th and 10th, yeah. And so what I'd like to do is I'll after we have that meeting, so in March I'll give you a report of how many people attended, and there's going to be kids and also adults, obviously, from U.S. Master Swimming and USA Swimming. And it's the first of its kind, I think, at our pool, and there aren't many dual sanctioned meets. They don't get the USMS and the USA swimmers together that often. But this is sort of the brainchild of a fellow by the name of Tim Wad. And anyway, it's going to happen. It's going to be great.
Great.
What's the youth part of that called? Just youth?
USA Swimming.
USA
So yeah, and that's the organization that you know, my little 5, 6, and 7-year-old pre-comp kids that I coach are in, and also our Olympians are in. So that's USA Swimming, and then U.S. Masters Swimming. I've seen Olympians actually swimming in U.S. Masters Swimming, gold medalists. I watched a gold medalist at a meet at Hood River, and Megan, that's her, Jendrick, Megan Jendrick. She was an Olympian in 2000, I believe. But so yeah, it's going to be a great event. I'm not sure if she's going to be there at this one though. But she looks for these type of events to swim at. So we could see an Olympian at our pool there.
Awesome.
It'd be cool.
Nice. Okay. On to staff reports.
Okay. First is just to inform you, I believe I emailed you, but just one more kind of notice to you. The Kenema Bluff Metro, this is Metro property, the Metro acquisition. I emailed this a while back, but there's a map that should be at your place that shows you they kind of finished the deal up there. They closed the gap and have completed the acquisitions that they've been trying to do, and they've been working on this for years. So they just in the last I guess month and a half or something, they've acquired the additional 22.4 acres that's shown, kind of highlighted in the center of the property there, and that goes into the whole rest of the Kenema Bluffs area, which is directly going south out of our new Kenema neighborhood, our children's park. You head south, and that's the whole Kenema Bluffs. They now have a total of 330 acres at that site, and that's been their vision for years. They've been working on this, is kind of piece by piece putting this together. So it's one of the most unique white oak habitats, and certainly in our region, if not even further on than that. And they're working with us. Their staff have been working with us recently, and there's going to be some more going on, some more work going on. But they're actually going to move into now that they know they own all the property and they've got everything kind of together that way, they're going to start working on their trails plan and actually putting some things into place. They talked about working on some maybe some safety enhancement to that lookout spot. If you know what I'm talking about, you have to be out there to know what I'm talking about, where you walk out just a few hundred yards just away from our kids' park, and there's it's just a natural area, so you just walk right out, and the basalt and the cliffs that drop right down to 99. It's just kind of it's one of the coolest things, but it's pretty scary too when you know that people are accessing that. And so they're going to work on some plans to make that a little bit more safe, and and just do some kind of enhancements. Now, of course, they're again, Metro's thing with their natural areas. I mean, it's the term is pretty self-descriptive, but they're not intended to be, active parks. They're definitely, pretty limited as far as what they do in terms of development, but they do want to give people access to the site. So they're working on that. So you'll start to see some stuff going on there, and I'll keep you posted as that progresses. But it'll make it definitely more accessible, more open to get into and usable, and it's just an awesome property. So wanted to let you know that was kind of a done deal. And then moving along here, Parks and Cemeteries report. Larry's got a few things he wants to update you about that we've been working on.
If you've been driving around the city the past week or so, Parks is happy to say we planted 39 more trees throughout the parks. We planted 9 along Lynn Avenue in Singer Creek. Boulevard trees at Hillendale. We planted 9 trees along. Can't think of the road name. Okay, Claremont. Claremont. That's it. We planted 9 trees along Claremont. At Chapin, we planted 15 more trees. At Pioneer Center, we replaced 3 damaged trees that were in very poor condition. So those were replaced. And then at Park Place, we planted 3 new trees there also. So we planted a total of 39 trees about within the past 2 weeks. Now that was contracted out with a contractor as part of our Free USA portion. So that's I'm very pleased to say we're moving forward, planting more trees in the parks. As far as the parks update, I signed an agreement with Solve and the Oregon Aquarium yesterday. They have adopted Clackamas Park for their own personal cleanup, and this is a group of young people who've come forward from the Oregon Aquarium, and they've got Solve signed up with them for litter cleanup, invasive removals, and possible planting of native plant material when they do the invasive removals. So I'm real excited. They're going to come in once or twice a month and do cleanup at Clackamas and surrounding areas, city properties. The Oregon City High School Construction Corps is installing a new RV kiosk. If you've been down at Clackamas Park, we've been digging it out. As soon as I get my permits, we'll be pouring the footings, and they're building the kiosk as we speak at the high school. So I'm hoping we'll get this all wrapped up and finished by the end of the school year. And we also, as part of this permitting process, we did some mitigation planning on site too. Since we put in a small kiosk where we're in the natural resources area. So we did some natural native plant material planting on site too. At Rivercrest Park, I've got contractor doing some corrective pruning. We've got a line of oak on Park Avenue that we're in dire need of some corrective pruning. So he's doing some pruning over the next week. So just to make you aware, these are real majestic oak, 50 to 80 years old, and they were a little lopsided, so we're trying to even them up, keep them to where they stay healthy and stay in the park and not fall over like the one over on Warner Parrot. We've partnered with the Greater Oregon City Watershed Council for removal of invasive plants, holly, ivy, and blackberry in the natural area of Mountain View Cemetery, and that's part of an entryway into Newell Creek Canyon. So they'd already done I think they had done almost all of the Newell Creek Canyon. And our property is adjoining theirs, and they were worried about the invasives since they removed theirs. So they came on Oregon City property, and they've done a great job of cleaning up invasives. And now they're going to come back over the next month, and they're going to start planting native plant material on Oregon City property, Mountain View Cemetery.
Does that include the ivy too, Larry? You know, pulling
They didn't pull it; they cut it around
cut
the
it.
trees.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to maintain these areas now. I can't guarantee it. I mean, that's another 20 acres hiking around, but it's pretty nice down there. Oregon City Parks has partnered with the Oregon Department of Forestry doing a fuels reduction demonstration project at Singer Creek Park. And this will entail removal of invasive species, dead and crowded trees, and removal of ladder fuel. And there will be an outreach program to contact neighbors adjacent to the park to make them aware of the project and to educate them on defensible spaces. I have been working with the Department of Forestry for a couple of months now, identifying parks in Oregon City that were possible fire hazards. We have a matrix rating them, and Singer Creek came to the top with all the properties adjacent. And in this project, we're trying to also partner with the Greater Oregon City Watershed Council in helping us restore the Singer Creek water headwaters and the wetlands area. So I don't know if it's kind of remote up in the park. You have to hike around through the brush and everything, but there is a wetlands, and that's where the headwaters of Singer Creek are at. And
In the park?
Mm-hmm. And as part of their as part of their partnering, we will be asking for their expertise, possible volunteers, and their access to grant monies for planting and maintaining of the project area for 2 to 3 years. Because once you go in and remove that much material, you've got to try to maintain it and keep the invasives out, and that's a lot of work. And so the Watershed Council was very excited about being brought in on this. So we're still working on this. This project should start in the next month. So we haven't done any outreach yet. We haven't sent out any mailings. We're waiting for funding for the Department of Forestry, but that is in the works also. So at the cemetery, I'm still working on the Parents of Murdered Children Memorial, and we hope to have that finished by Memorial Day. And then I'm in the process of building a new cremation garden, and I'm hoping to have that mapped, plotted, and ready for sales later this spring, summer.
A new what? Sorry.
Cremation garden.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's the projects we're involved with right now.
Awesome.
Thanks, Larry.
Well, busy.
A lot.
And then just kind of rolling along here, going to ask Denise to give you some updates and on some recreation items. I know she already distributed the written. Is that information useful for you when you get that written report of numbers and things like that? And then also, she's going to give you a brief update on our Rivercrest restroom project.
So I did send those monthly reports out. They are about a month behind. We kind of roll all those numbers together at the end of the month. So I'll send the next one out for this month as soon as we get those numbers together. We did kick off last Thursday the National March for Meals awareness program. So the whole month of March is March for Meals, and that's to our Meals on Wheels project that we do. We homebound seniors, we get those meals out to them so they have at least one hot meal a day, and then on the weekends we give a frozen meal. So March for Meals is a big program for us, and it's a high need. We do fill and aren't always able to continue to give when we have people in need. So it's kind of sad, and it's, for us, it's hard on our heartstrings because, we see these folks and we know they're in need. So anyway, I think if you guys are interested, March for Meals this month, and just the Meals on Wheels awareness. And we're always looking for volunteers and fill-in drivers. Also in March, we do a 1-week shutdown at the Pioneer Center where we tackle a bigger project. This year we are tackling the basement. So we have upgraded and updated the majority of the main building. The basement is kind of our last piece that has yet to be touched. So we're going to take the 15 to 20-year-old carpet up, and it's been flooded a few times. So we're going to take the carpet up, we're going to clean things up, paint the walls downstairs. We have bathrooms that definitely need some work and elbow grease and attention to detail. So we're going to fix those items, and hopefully, that space is rented all the time. It'll make it just that much more appealing for rents and give us a little bit more revenue. And a lot of this is a lot of elbow grease on my staff's part to keep the costs down. So we're really digging, squeezing pennies to make sure that we get every bit of bang for a buck. So we do have spring break coming up, and so at the pool we have our spring break camps. Those are online. Rochelle's been really busy getting our concerts booked for the summer and the movies set for the movies in the park. And with those comes garnering sponsorships. So we're pounding the pavement and knocking down doors, trying to, again, get some more pennies to squeeze. For the tree count, we also planted 18 trees at the end of the Oregon Trail to mitigate some of our tree losses due to hazard trees and dead trees over at the EOT. So 18 new trees have been planted in more appropriate spaces than the old ones were, knowing that they're going to grow at some point. So along Washington Street, we picked trees that match the Jug Handle Project trees. So once you travel down Washington, you'll kind of see the same treescape as you get across from the EOT. We also planted a few trees up above on the pathway on the inside where the bowl to the grass is, kind of that natural amphitheater space. So right along the pathway, we planted trees, I think 7 trees along that space, and it should give some good color and some shade. So let's see. Rivercrest. Scott handed you guys out some of these little draft drawings. The very, very simple one is our existing well-used, well-loved, long-loved bathroom, restroom facility. And then on the next side of it is the proposed, which we have actually, we've been in the phase of design with Emmerich Construction. they have the contract to demo design with us as a design build project and then build the project. So with this design build, if you'll notice, the changing rooms are separated in this drawing and have separate access doors. We've actually made them changing rooms within the restrooms. And we've added, we've been able to add, I think, 3 changing stalls and an ADA stall in each side, so that the capacity is more than 1 in each, so that we only had 4, so now we have 4 on each side. So we're hoping that that helps us logistically over there, since it's a high-use facility. If you'll look, we use the template, or what we're calling the boilerplate, from the high school on the Wesley Lynn restroom and concession stand. We use that as part of our template. And so we will have a restroom facility from the exterior that looks very similar to Wesley Lynn. So those are the exterior elevations on the next couple pages. And on the very last page, the color one, is kind of what we have given out to the neighborhood, as well as through our planning packages for review, what the exterior will look like. So it'll be very similar, not exact, but very similar. We're going to lose the posting. We won't need that much posting on this design, but the colors, the tile, the batten board, all of that will be incorporated in the Rivercrest restroom. And then they have started, we have the demo permit. They have started building the road as of today, going up to the building, so that we'll have a temporary road set up so that we're not damaging a lot of the park area. And we will probably start demoing next week is what we're looking at.
It was in basically the same spot.
Yeah, we are using the same, almost exactly the same footprint from the concrete pad.
Okay.
The restroom itself was very tiny, but the concrete pad was pretty big. So we're actually using that same footprint area, which lent really well to this design build project.
And on that project topic, I went to the Rivercrest Neighborhood Association meeting recently in the last few weeks, and they knew we were working on this project, and they've been partners with us on a lot of the development things that have taken place, and they were supportive of when we put the grant application in. But went back to them and gave them essentially a similar report to what Denise just told you, and took questions, and they were real interested in what was going on. And Bob Burns was there from PRAC. He's in the Rivercrest neighborhood and was at the meeting and was helpful in actually kind of talking about some of the project support and that kind of thing. But have to say, the neighborhood, it was like overwhelming positive feedback. It was fun. Sometimes you go to meetings and people want to talk about something that they're not happy about or things like that. Not PRAC, ever. No, sometimes we go and to some of these outreach meetings or whatever, and people have issues and concerns and things. But the neighborhood was so happy that this project is being done, and they just were just delighted, and it was really just kind of one of those great, this is why we do what we do type of moments, because providing something that's a real positive improvement, and the people that are the directly impacted users and neighbors and those folks just couldn't have been more happy about the project. So that was really fun. Is that everything you had, Denise? Or did you-
I think so. And we're still looking at sometime in June having the building up and running.
Yeah.
And we're really pushing the contractor to have it up and running before it gets hot. With our mild winter, we're hoping that doesn't come as soon as it could. We're really hoping it follows the trend that it has the last couple of years, like July.
Our goal is really to try to work around the spray park operation if their construction bleeds into the beginning of that spray park season. We've worked with them to try to come up with a plan that we can keep the spray park open even if the bathroom isn't done yet. We'll stick some porta potties out there to meet the bathroom needs or whatever we have to do for a temporary time being or what have you. But anyway.
And that's it.
Okay, and then I've just got two more quick things for you. I already mentioned, but again, the City Commission work session on it is on March 12th, by the way, and they will be discussing. I'll be reporting to them, and there'll be discussion about the end of the Oregon Trail site, just kind of ongoing. What's the future there? I just want to make sure you're aware of that. And then, lastly, is an update to you on the disabled veterans policy that we've discussed for the RV park, where disabled veterans with the Oregon State Parks permit would get free use of our park. And PRAC had supported that. Moving it through the process, we presented it to the City Commission at a work session recently, and it was very supportive. And they said, go ahead and bring us back a formal policy to adopt, which was what our objective was. And we're working on that. Our attorney's kind of refining and helping us write an actual policy that we can present, and I expect it will be adopted by the Commission in the relatively near future. I do have a question for you, the committee, is do you want to see the final policy before it's presented to the Commission? Are you comfortable with what we've already discussed and the kind of the concept? Whatever your preference is, I'd be happy to do either way.
I don't feel any reason to see it if it goes by the council and a lawyer. I think we support the goal. I just hope we don't end up with something that becomes unmanageable for Larry.
Well, that's what we're working on. That's the policy part of it, that we're going to make sure that it's manageable, but that it meets the overall goal of what the idea was to do there, which I think we'll be fine. So, unless I hear any differently, I'll probably just take that to the Commission and I'll bring it back to you once it's been adopted, just to show you here's the kind of the final deal or whatever. So
Okay.
that's
Is that all right
it.
with
Yeah, that
everybody?
sounds good.
That's okay.
Great. Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Anything new with the Ermitinger house? Speaking of deferred maintenance and oh, sorry. It's like, dang, we almost got away.
We just received I want to say beginning or the end of last week, the final A&E architect and engineering drawings for that project. So we are still looking forward to submitting some of those pieces. Once we have the drawings, it garners us a little bit more ability to go after some other grants, because then there's an actual plan to utilize and say, for these dollars, we're looking for this. And then there's, I'll let Scott talk to the other grants that we've already garnered, but the momentum's there now.
Good.
Well, yeah, just that we're continuing to seek funding and kind of complete the funding package, and this has been at the top of the Commission's goals for the last 2 years now, and we're trying to accomplish this. We've with some actual engineered drawings and documents and so forth, as Denise said, now we have the ability to go after some additional grants that we haven't been able to apply for yet. To date, we've been successful in grants to the amount of about $163,000. Our goal is we need to come up with about another $250,000, and we're going to go be aggressively pursuing some other grants in the next few months here. So,
Okay.
thanks for asking about that. There were so many other things to update you about. I forgot about that one.
Anything else from anyone?
On your next meeting date there.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I just want to point out that is the week of spring break, and I don't know if that's conflict for multiple people. If it's good, we can work around and reschedule it to a week before or after if you need to, or we can just move forward on that date.
Fine with me. Done. Just checking.
I think we'll be back. We're coming back that day from the beach, so we'll be good.
Be okay, I think.
I'll be gone on the April one.
Are you here for March?
Yep. Just thought I'd throw the April one out there.
I have the same situation. I'm here in March, but gone in April.
We'll figure it out. Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Maybe there won't be any. Okay,
And
so our
yeah.
next meeting then we'll stick with the 28th. Looks like that'll work.
And we'll be doing those interviews. Hopefully, we should have those lined up. I'll give you more details as we get closer in terms of what the actual time is, but kind of plan on, hour to hour and a half before the meeting that if you're able to make it, we'll be so.
Well, one of your applicants, Adam, sent me an email inviting me to another meeting tonight for the trails at the Blair's Bike Shop.
Okay.
Or first cycle. So I wonder if that's the fourth Thursday all the time, or how that's going to work out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Until we change things here in the last couple of days, he was a go for tonight. He said something about a work conflict or some other conflict that he wanted a certain time. He was going to come from 6:30 to 7, and he said that worked. So maybe he was working around that other meeting or something. I don't know. Anyway, he was originally had planned on being here, so hopefully he sounded interested and wanted to be here. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as an ongoing conflict, if he's on the committee, is that what you're getting at? I'm not sure.
I was just throwing it out there
That's
that
something we could talk
I think
about.
there's another meeting going on that actually, in our awareness of other groups, that's one we should be aware of.
And that's which
What is it?
which one?
Oregon City Trails Alliance.
It's like Okta.
Another Okta.
Another.
Yeah.
It's a different Okta.
A different Okta. Is that a city committee, or is that more of a regional thing?
It seems to be a little more independent, this one. It started with the First City Cycle Group, and they're kind of garnering some momentum within the city and I'm not,
It's a grassroots committee.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, we're not
Promoting trails
We're in the loop, sort of, but
or
not
biking, or both.
We're not sure yet.
Oh,
We're still trying. It's
Very
still
grassroots.
very grassroots.
grass seed right now.
We've been trying to connect.
They meet at the
with
wheel.
them.
Yeah, we've been. There've been some communications.
Okay. All right. Does anyone have anything else? All right. If not, adjourn at 8:40. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.